What can you do off the top of your head? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and our idiom, our expression today came from America in about the mid-1900s, which is about when I came to America. And it means, of course, to respond or to do something or to say something primarily without having to think deeply about it. It infers that the first thing that comes to our mind, the first thing that pops into our head is going to come out of our mouth. Happens often with many of us. Now, as we get older, more experienced, as we increase our confidence, our communication skills, what comes off immediately, how we respond, how we extemporaneously discuss topics and things with respect to our life and our business becomes a lot more intelligible. It's a lot more smooth than when we're younger, when we're immature, when we don't have a lot of experience. I know when I first started in the business world and was first running businesses and even my first jobs in corporate America, it took a whole lot of preparation and practice and planning to make it sound like I wasn't reading or practicing or planning or hadn't had to spend a whole lot of time being myself. And I found over the years that the more experience I had, the more practice I had, the more times I did something, the easier it was for anything in business to work out for me. Doesn't mean we didn't have a lot of successes and failures, still do. Life is about taking risks and doing things that are not always going to work out. It's not always going to work out exactly as we had planned. But it doesn't mean it's not going to work out even better than we could have ever even imagined. So with respect to our businesses, and how do you make it so that you can respond quickly, easily, efficiently, effectively, automatically, and get a great response? Well, a lot of it is how you set your life up, how you set things up to work in your life. I think that the habits we choose for ourselves, the way we show up in the world, the things that we can automate in our businesses and our life so that we get the results that we want are very, very important. So off the top of your head, off the top of my head, what are some things we could do right now to improve our business, any business, especially during these crazy times? Sorry about that. With COVID and things, all of us need to be looking creatively at our businesses and saying, all right, I know we've done it this way in the past and it's worked out for us, but the world has changed so much in the last year. How much have we changed? Are we paying attention to the way we do things? Are we digging a little deeper, not just responding off the top of our head or reacting to what's going on around us? Are we being proactive and making sure that we are doing things that are moving us in the direction we want to go? That's the one, my guiding principle is always, I ask myself the question, is this thing I'm thinking about, is this thing I'm doing going to move me and my life and my business in the direction I want to go? And if it is, chances are I'll do it. If I've got the resources and the meaning, time and energy, mostly these days, to do it, I'll do it. But if it's not going to, chances are I'm going to say no to that thing. So what are some things off the top of your head that you can do to be more proactive, to respond more effectively in this day and age of changing times? Now, the trick is, and the truth is, we've always been living in changing times. And for some of us, we've had decades of practice changing and responding to things that go on outside of our business, outside of our control. So COVID, to me, and to a lot of business owners, was just one more thing. It was a little different, a little more profound, a little more globally impactful, but it was just another event outside of our control, kind of like the weather, that we had to respond to. So one of the things that you can always do to continue to survive and make sure your business thrives, not just survives, but thrives and supersizes during these crazy times, is to become more customer centric, more customer focused, always keeping in touch with, engaging and communicating with the people that you serve, the people your business serves, and engaging with them and having conversations to find out, okay, this was their problem a year ago and we had this great system for solving it, but all of a sudden with COVID, they have 5 or 6 other problems that have leapfrogged and jumped right on top of what was their biggest problem last year. They have a totally different set of problems. And if you're not engaging with them, communicating with them, being, treating them like they're your most important resource, because behind your employees and the people that help you create the solutions for those people, without our customers, we have no business. Without the people we serve, there's no reason for us to exist or for us to be, except maybe to, make enough money to feed our families. But is that what we're all here for? Most of us, once you hit my age, no, we're not here to just survive. We're here to make a positive difference in the world. So are you being customer centric? Are you focused on your customers and their current needs, not their needs from 10 years ago, not their needs even from a year ago? What do they need right now that you have the team and the ability, the solutions for them? What problems do they have now that are more high priority? Because they're going to we all solve our problems in the most urgent, highest priority order. If I have a sickness or an illness, everything else in my life fades away till I deal with that urgent health problem. I've personally experienced that, but everybody else on the planet does as well. So if you're clicking along in your life and your business and you get COVID, guess what? Nothing else matters except getting healthy and recovering from COVID or cancer or sudden cardiac arrest or whatever it might be. Our health will trump everything else and jump to the top of the priority pile when it comes to anything else in our life. Experienced that personally when I had a sudden cardiac arrest. I was out. I was gone. Fini. Nothing else mattered. But luckily, I had put systems and things in place that the business could run without me. My son stepped in, took over, boom. We didn't miss a beat. So make sure that you are paying attention to what your customers' problems are now. Another thing off the top of my head that I would say is important is that we get really creative about the way we've always done things. It's one of my most dreaded sentences when I work with somebody and they say, well, it's just how I've always been. Mainly because my ex-husband used to say that. Well, it's just the way I am. Well, yeah, it's the way you were when you were 12, but it's not the way you have to act when you're 40 or 50. It's, we can always change and do things differently. So we always want to be continuously improving and creatively looking at how it is we can best serve the people it is that we're here to serve. How it is we can best, and that includes the people that are in our business, building our business with us, our customers, not our customers, our employees, our team members, our vendors, our suppliers. We're all in it together, right? Very few businesses exist entirely in a vacuum. I'd be hard pressed to think of one that does. You get an idea, but that idea only comes to fruition through the efforts and the energies and the agreement with other people. So curious off the top of my head, what is and how do you respond to this particular idiom or expression? Have you got experience with it? It reminds me of improvisation. My sister had a comedy club in the 1980s in Dallas, Texas. And so I was exposed to a lot of comedians. And they would get on stage, and you would think they were just improvising using improvisation, which is a type of comedy, but they didn't. They practiced and practiced and practiced the timing, the delivery, the words they used, the stories they told. They practiced them relentlessly. Almost every comedian I knew had, their secret notebook of life ideas and hacks and things that they were going to talk about. And they would practice in front of an audience. They would get feedback and see how the audience responded to that. And then if they got a great response, they would keep that in their act. If something fell really, really flat, they would tweak it and test it and see if they could get it to work and the audience to respond to it. But if they didn't, out of the act it went. So I find this a really interesting expression and idiom. I do a lot nowadays off the top of my head. I do these videos off the top of my head, primarily because I can't see very well, so it's hard. Once in a while I'll read a list of notes with my magnifying glass or share some really interesting things that I found out about or related to the idiom or the expression. But mostly it's just, I look it up, I see what it means, I see where it comes from, and then I talk about it. And I think about, well, based on my past decades of corporate and business in a bunch of different industries experience, and the fact that I'm old and made a lot of mistakes in my life, what is something that we want to think about or that I'm thinking about with respect to this particular expression? And I do that because I want to get you thinking about it as well. What does it mean to you? Why is it important? Maybe it's not important at all. Some of the idioms I come across, I'm like, I've never heard this. I can't imagine myself ever using it. Is it important? Well, it's important that I'm always learning and growing and expanding my foundation of wisdom and knowledge and information. So from that standpoint, everything I learn, everything I experience is valuable. But some things I exposed to and I'm like, I can't imagine ever using that. And lo and behold, a few weeks down the road, the perfect opportunity or situation that describes that idiom or expression shows up in my life. So there's I always like to believe that everything's connected. Anyway, that is it. That's our idiom for today. Go out, make an awesome day. Be yourself. I find that doing things off the top of our head, responding quickly and easily and automatically, it's easier when we're just being ourselves. So go be yourself. Have an amazing day, and I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it in your life and your business today? Have a great day.